I'm sure for today. I don't know if yellow is my color, and I miss Bernie Mac. I mean, uncontrollably miss that man.
It looks for some reason it looks pistachio to me.
We got a lot of problems. That Anthony on Air podcast. Welcome in for another episode. We're talking Epstein today, and this move that the elites are doing to try and erase their connection to Jeffrey Epstein is astonishing. We'll get into it. Plus, there's a new book coming out all about Epstein, and we'll talk about that as well on this episode. Bill Burr rips CNN a new a-hole. We've got Marjorie Taylor Greene. I forget that crazy lady's name. She did something crazy today.
Yep.
Geraldo Rivera. I mean, we can't go too long without talking about Geraldo. Ben and Jerry's. We brought this up on the last podcast. They made some news today, and they've dragged Ben Shapiro in along with them. Plus, Biden joins an exclusive club. We will share that with you next. It's about the second most honor you can have besides actually being the president.
That's
Once
true.
you're the president, you can do this, and
then
we'll
it's
tell you.
all been worth it.
Then it's all been worth it. It's what we all dream. I think it's why most people run for president. Frankie C is here. How you doing, my man?
Hanging in. How we doing?
I'm doing all right. So I was reading this, and credit to Uncle Robert. He produced this segment.
Hey, Uncle Robert.
The elites are pulling this move, and I can't believe it. So obviously there's a lot of attention around Ghislaine Maxwell trials coming up in September. That's something that interests you. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel on YouTube or Facebook or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, however you like to listen or watch. Make sure you're there because we're going to be there every day following what happens. And there's a lot of things going on right now. People are writing books. People are producing documentaries. We've done podcasts on that and what's happening there, all that stuff. So the BBC came to Manhattan. They were in town in early July, basically to gather some interviews for this documentary that they're producing right now. Turns out, like bugs that you when you lift up the rock and all the bugs go scattering. That's basically what happened in Manhattan when the BBC came to town to do some interviews. Everybody ran, and they all. This isn't even the story. They all refused to do the interviews. Supposedly, I think it was a couple of the victims' lawyer. A couple of them did some of the interviews. They didn't interview any of the victims, but they interviewed the lawyers, and that was basically it. Now, they plan on returning. They plan on coming back to do some more interviews.
Don't say when, because they'll leave.
Exactly. They'll scatter again like bugs.
You just got to show up.
Yeah, basically. Sources told Page 6 that people in New York City high society aren't lining up to speak to the BBC. In fact, they're going through great lengths to avoid them. But here's the thing that really, really caught my eye about how scumbaggy these people are and how in control the elites, how advantaged the elites really are. Because people are like, oh, the elites. And it gets a little tiring after a while. But it's kind of true that they have advantages that the rest of us don't have. So this is the move they're doing, Frank. All the photographs that are out there, okay, with Epstein, the photographer who took those pictures owns the photographs.
Right.
If you're a photographer, so like if you're Taylor Swift and you give a photographer, permission to come into your concert and they take a picture of you, Taylor Swift does not own that photograph. The photographer does. And the photographer basically can license out the photograph. So he'll put it on services, AP service, whatever, different wire services, stock footage services, and they'll get paid. And the services pay them based on how many times it's downloaded or there's a flat rate, whatever. That's basically how the world works. So whoever owns that picture can do with that photo whatever they want. Sell it, rent, license it out, whatever they want to do. These rich people are tracking down the people who own the photographs of Epstein, and they're buying them up. Meaning, if I'm some rich guy and I was running with Epstein and I was visiting him, his island or whatever, that from the super innocent to the you probably should be in handcuffs soon, they're all going around and they're buying up the rights to these photographs of them with Epstein, and they're pulling them off of the internet
Well, that
because
would tell you who's. I mean, there's got to be a list of who that is. How do we know this unless we know who it is?
you can't. I mean, unless you're really super duper keeping track, which I don't know if anybody is, even the hardest of hardcore investigators that are following this Epstein. I mean, it's pretty impossible. I mean, you're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of photographs that are not like organized into the Epstein file. They're who knows where they are. They're everywhere.
True. Whoever took a picture. It's like,
There are thousands of places they could be.
how do you track that down? You just got to Google it, see if the
I have no
picture
idea.
exists, and then track down who took it. I mean, granted, not everybody who's in a photo with Epstein is a scumbag. Hopefully, right?
Granted, like I said, the most innocent, like I just
Yeah.
kind of met him once, to I should really be in handcuffs.
Right.
That's the
So,
spectrum.
I mean, if you're an innocent person, are you tracking down this photo just so you're not even involved in any of this mess?
No. If I'm an innocent person, I'm letting it go. Just not thrilled about it, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, let's say all the guilty and whoever people track down their photos and get them removed. The only ones remaining are probably going to be yours then. So it's going to be like, oh, look at this. Only one left here is the only one we found, and it's
a
this
good
guy. And you're like, well, I just didn't pursue it because I didn't, have anything to hide. But
That's a
then now
really
you're all
good
wrapped
point.
up in this.
They might be creating a more incentivized market.
It's a little bit of a
Yeah.
gold rush now. It's like everybody's just running for the hills because they just don't want to, innocent or not, they just don't want to get swept up in this.
It's a great point. That's a really, really great point. I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, then you could be the go-to photograph. It's
Yeah,
true.
if you're the last one, you didn't sweep up your picture.
But it's interesting that you brought up Google because they can indeed pull the photograph off of Google. The only photographs that, if you Google something and you go to images, the only images that are up there are images that are allowed to be up there. You know, when you put an
Hopefully.
image up on these things or they're up on social media or whatever they are, they're indexed into Google. You can remove them if you're the rights owner.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what they're going to be. That's what they're going to be doing. Because again, if you Google Jeffrey Epstein and you're just in that mix,
Who knows how many photos? I'm sure the guy took photos with thousands of people. But
and let's be honest, he was a very careful and private guy. Like nobody knew who the hell he was prior to 2007. And even then, when he got arrested, it was a blip on the radar. It was just some other rich dude who got arrested for doing whatever the hell he did that day. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So he was relatively private. And most of these things that they found on him was 15, 16, 17, 2015, 2016. And they had to go all the way back into their archives. But I wonder now, because as the story goes, and this is what sources and insiders, people who are in the know are saying, that they're out there buying up all these photographs in London and in New York and everywhere that they could get them, the rights to the photos.
right.
I wonder how many of those people are buying up footage. Because you can't really, I don't think that the news outlets would really sell that stuff because that's their bread and butter. You know, even if they were part of a grand cover-up conspiracy, I'll play that game. That's still, that's kind of how they do their thing. You know, that's what they need, that stuff when stories
They
come
need
out.
those sources.
It's not even, but they just need that material. They need those assets.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about people that the photographers are making all this money now, probably because they're who's buying them up? The people in the photos, not the news stories, or is it like now a race? News stories, news outlets, and elites are now racing to buy up as many as they can.
I mean, I would assume that once the news outlets figure out what's happening, that they would want to maybe put their
Snap up as many as they can get.
Yeah, because you got to think too. I mean, this is the reason why the paparazzi make money. You know, this is because you have People Magazine and National Enquirer, and you have all these places that want that photo that's going to sell the magazine off the rack or get the click online. Those things are really valuable when you have the right photograph. So
It's such a weird world when a photograph of a person can be licensed and it can be ripped down and you can delete it from a page because you own it. But everybody's up in arms when musicians do the same thing.
yeah, it's true.
I mean, what's more arguably more work has been put into the music
Yeah. Well,
than snapping the photo.
photographers get really.
Oh, they do a lot. I'm not saying it's easy, but
No, I
a
was gonna say
day's work.
they get really oddly possessive of stuff
True.
like that. Like I remember I there was a magazine that was doing a write up on me, right? So the guy comes and takes pictures and he was complaining to me about how he made the bulk of his money shooting like lawyers and like doctors. Like they would come and they would have him come and take pictures of them and stuff
For like their profile pages and shit.
or whatever, right? Or the magazine would do a write up on this attorney so that they would go, they would go there and he would take pictures and then he would say to the attorney, "Hey, I'll sell you a couple of these if you want them for your office or this or that." Attorneys are always, they need that kind of stuff, And that's how he made a ton of his money. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And at the time, I had gotten into a dispute with somebody over a photograph at the station. It's a big, long story that's not important. But we were fighting over like rights for a photograph that we use because you can use copywritten photographs if it's a newsworthy thing. We were a radio station, so there was a thing. So we were talking about it and whatever. So after like 3 hours, the guy shot me at the studio. We went to a bar. We went to another location. I spent like the afternoon with this guy just to get one friggin' picture, right? At the end of the day, he goes, "Look, I had a great time with you. If you want a photo to use, for like your professional headshot, give me a buzz and I'll give you one of the shots." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not really that interested. I'm not going to buy it. I appreciate it. Thank you." He goes, "It's on the house." I was like, "Oh, okay." 2-3 weeks.
This guy coming over for Thanksgiving.
2-3 weeks passed by. He sends me all this stuff, and I was like, "Hey, I'll take you up on your offer," And he like wrote me this whole thing. He's like, "I explained this to you. This is how I make my money." He's like, "I don't know, why would you?" And I was like, "Dude, you offered to give me the thing."
Did you say? You said it was on the house.
I did. I said you said it was on the house. If you were gonna give me one.
What did he say?
And he was like, "I don't remember saying that." He's like, "But if you really want it, I'll sell it to you." And I was like, "I don't know if this is a come on." I was like, "I don't really need it. I could take a picture of myself. It's like I live and die by my face." It was a nice thing to have if it was free. If it ain't free, then screw it. I'll just go like this with my phone and it'll be done with.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be a glamour shot of like on the red carpet.
I'm not a lawyer or a doctor who they need those things for whatever they do. I don't know. I don't know what they do it for, but the guy said he made a ton of money off of doctors and lawyers. So great.
Hey, good for him.
But I bring it up because it's like this is like they are super this.
Oh, they're very protective.
That's their thing.
I don't blame them for being protective. It's your livelihood. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, but if it's so easy for them to throw lawsuits around and pull down material, but the minute a musician's like, "Hey, this is my song," everybody's like, "No, it's everyone's song." It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
You giant jerk.
Well, you know what it is? It's because people aren't buying photographs the way they're buying music, and they want everything for free. You know what I'm saying? So they look at it like, "Why am I paying $20 for this album?" This is BS. Especially when somebody like Napster turned around and went, "Hey, this is free over here. You could use it over here."
Yeah, that didn't work out.
Look at you, anti-Napster. You're all so proud of what your boys in Metallica did.
Kinda. I was listen. It's fair. It's right. It's their work. It's their jobs, and that's what they get money for. The music. You just give it out for free. I mean, they gotta make money with their albums.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh, they have millions. They have millions," but not every band has millions. It's not just Metallica that has to worry about that. It's any band starting up.
I agree. I was on Metallica's side. I just thought Lars was really douchey. They could have PR'd that a little bit better than they wound up doing.
Well, what did he do?
Also, I don't know, just the way he overall handled it. Also, the one thing, this is why I will give them credit, at least they spoke up. Like everybody else benefited from their hard work and didn't say shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were kind of the leaders on that, and they asked other people. I won't name any other bands or names. They asked other people to join them, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end, it was like, oh, way to go, Metallica, you fought for us.
And there were some people, there were some bands that were like, yeah, our music shouldn't be this much money. Like totally just trying to like land on the side of the fans,
Yeah.
you know, thinking that the
But
music industry would take the hit, but those sons of bitches never absorb the profit loss.
and I have
Never.
no problem. If I like the album, I'll buy it. Metallica comes out with a new thing, I buy it.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I pay for YouTube to get, to download content.
Next part of this Epstein start of the show here is there's a new book that's coming out, and I want to plug it. It's very important. It's called Perversion of Justice, the Jeffrey Epstein Story. And the reason why is it's because it's written by Julie K. Brown, who's the Miami Herald investigator. She's basically the one that's kind of single-handedly responsible for all of this because it was her investigative work to what was going on in West Palm Beach.
That's the book you want to get.
That really unwrapped everything. I don't know if she's going to, I honestly really don't know if she's going to have anything in this book that is revolutionary that we don't already know. But
Who
I
knows?
feel like if you followed this story and, you like the podcast because of that, or you like, who's that other guy everybody always compares us to? Fucking forget his name, whatever.
There's
Bald
no
guy.
comparison.
Weird English guy. Anyway, or Australian, whatever he is.
I'm sure there is.
Thank you. That was nice of you to say, Frank. There is no comparison to us. We are one of a kind. If you like any of that stuff, none of it would really be possible without this downtown Julie K. Brown. So,
Very nice.
not to be confused with Julie Brown. So pick that up tomorrow. That's in stores everywhere. Perversion of Justice, the Jeffrey Epstein story. There's a couple of things that, like we knew this stuff already, but I just wanted to throw it back out there again because I did find it interesting because it's brought up and, she's releasing little excerpts from the book. Now, there could be something that's pretty revolutionary in there, and if it is, great. But the one thing that I had forgotten that we knew at the time, Epstein's cellmate was a ex-cop.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was facing the death penalty on federal murder and drug charges. He was 51. He did not cooperate with authorities after Epstein's death. His lawyer said that he was friendly with Epstein, but denied that he had anything to do with his death. He theorized that his client was being set up because Tartaglione, which was his name, had filed a lot of complaints about the prison conditions, that they were inhumane.
So that they killed him because he was complaining it was inhumane? Is that his argument?
No. He thought that they were trying to pin Epstein's death on him because he was complaining that the conditions were inhumane. And in the book, here's an excerpt from the book. For reasons that remain unexplained to this day, the Metropolitan Correctional Center had bunked a hulking accused quadruple murderer with a 66-year-old nerd who happened to be the nation's most famous child molester.
That is weird that you would have such a high profile guy with a bunkmate, murderous bunkmate. I don't know. That is kind of weird.
Prison officials said it was the footage was inadvertently destroyed. Tartaglione had an illegal cell phone on him, and the government has not released and is not releasing the contents of that phone. To this day, and this is why I brought this up, to this day, authorities have never released a full report on their investigation into what happened with Epstein.
It's been well over, but it's been how many,
yeah.
how long has it been now?
2 years,
2 years?
maybe?
Can't remember. Everything's a blur. But yeah, and I mean, the stuff we don't know. I mean, we have yet to see, did we get a death certificate, like a autopsy report on him?
There was two, and they were both contradicting. Yeah.
And what's it called? There's no reason to release photos of anybody dead, but I'm just saying there's no There was no funeral. I don't know if there would be, but I'm sure his family maybe. I don't know. Would they have a funeral?
I don't know. Let's bring in our funeral expert, and that's Jay Sabs. What up, Jay Sabs?
She
How are
puts
you?
Anthony sucks dick. Oh, hello.
what sucks dick? Oh my god.
What's going on?
Nothing. How about you?
You know,
Just rapping about the death of some child molester guy.
saving the world from a child pedophile ring. You know,
Right.
Oh,
all,
okay.
all in a day's work.
That's it.
Yeah.
Light conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
light
try-
stuff. By the way, we didn't preview this at the beginning of the episode, but I spent some time with Janine's father. I spent some valuable quality time having a conversation with Janine's father, and it was enlightening, revolutionary, if I could say.